You're listening to the AID Network.
Today's holiday episode sponsored by our friends over at Jack Prince. Go big or go home. A one-week flash sale event at jackprince.com where you can save over 15% on large format posters, giclée prints, and banners. If the end of the year holiday sales have been kind to you and you're worried about having a little bit too much tax money sitting in the reserves, get some banners designed for your booth for the next year. Premium full color printing, gloss, matte, and mesh outdoor vinyl, indoor faux canvas stock available with grommets, wind slits, and pole pockets. So it comes out of the package ready to display in the format that you feel most comfortable with. Order now, 15% off. Make sure to go to jackprince.com/Circle of Trust to save even more. And you know the rule of Jack Prince. No shipping in the U.S., no hidden fees. That's jackprince.com/Circle of Trust to save even more. Go big or go home. A one-week flash sale on large format printing. Hey friends, if you're looking for the perfect gift to give one of your freelance buds or somebody who you know recently just came out of their shell to go out into the world to meet new folks to grow their business, I would suggest going over to AID.network/store. That's right. And purchase the Key to Life. It's a beautiful enamel pen made by our friends over at pengamestrong.com. And the Key to Life symbolizes that meeting people, knowing people in this world is how you keep growing your network. The more your network grows, the more potential and possibilities that become available to you. So this pen, part of our Metals of Honor, celebrates getting out there and meeting somebody new and growing your world one friendship at a time. Available at AID.network. Always discounts available for members of the Circle of Trust.
Coming to you live from the Saul Rosenberg Studios, broadcasting worldwide into all ships at sea, here comes another action-packed episode of Adventures in Design.
Good guy, Brian. Michael Hammer.
Good morning.
Welcome to Adventures in Design. This is a different type of attitude we have this morning.
This is very different. Now it makes sense why you set all this tea out and this fancy setup. It's very different than what you do for me at Hammer Time.
It's true. These white gloves, I only wear these when I'm doing the professional interviews. When it's Hammer Time, it's just a party.
Yeah, I notice.
And
So where we have our business hats on. Right?
exactly,
Correct?
exactly. And we also left our funny guy Tavo. You know, he's ripping tats right now someplace.
He would love to be here to talk about business, but he's working.
Tats and tacos.
But no, I thought it would be great to sit down and talk with you guys because we talked at the end of last year briefly for the end of the year special. But, you know, being a fly on the wall and knowing so much about VG, it's been seems like a good year of solid growth. Not that flash in the pan, like somebody wore one of our shirts on Instagram and we saw an extra 5,000 shirts go out, you know, for a week. But I'm talking like a serious growth that has been going for a while. Luke Westman walking by. How you doing, sir? How you doing? This is a professional environment.
Luke just stopped in to grab some gear, so sometimes it happens, you know?
Yeah.
You have, we got a local celebrity. Not a big deal.
There we go. But no, it seems like it's been a year of like serious growth, you know, but like the kind of growth that will be there next year.
Yeah, I think on I could be completely wrong, so correct me if I am. We can see on our back end, you know, the new customers, the returning customers, and we're pretty heavily into our returning customers. Everyone's coming back again, and they're spending more.
I think that this is what you guys, I want to break down the VG year in many different ways, but I think one of the things that you guys have, and I see brands want to do this right out of the gate, and I really think that this is the secret of the sauce here, is that you guys were actually able, as stereotypical as this word is, you guys were actually able to create an organic fan base. Like you just read the culture. When Brian came up with the idea, when you made the first logo, the first shirts, like you just read the culture. Like there was a hole in the market, and you didn't do that business thing like automated car washes. Let's do that. There's a hole in the market. You know, the car wash will take care of itself. Like you actually found a hole in the market that people didn't realize they needed. But when you guys showed up, it was reacted to like strongly from fan to player. Like that's the real thing here, is that you thought about what your brand was from the inside all the way to the out. So from center ice to the guy that's in the 300s, everyone in between gets the product.
Yeah, I think that was a benefit of, in the early days, having George on board, where he would
R.I.P. George.
we would be able to speak to things all the way from, you know,
player to
the
fan,
the 400s to the locker room.
Yeah,
where he could give us the insight of like, oh, that's cool, but like I forgot what was it. There was something we were trying to do, and he was like, "That's cool, but just no player's going to wear that." I feel like he was in the captain shirts or something.
Yeah, I mean, we sold a captain shirt and we had some moderate success with it, but we never brought it back because that was a big thing. Anything you do something that is inherently like hockey player, something that they see every day, they love the sport.
Right.
Professionals and fans love the sport, but on the professional side, they don't necessarily want to advertise that, hey, this is a shirt that says Selly or captain, and not everybody's the captain, so there's only one captain on a team, so only one person can wear that shirt on the team. So,
and I think that's part of what you guys gave, like the hipness of the brand through the players' perspective was I can wear stuff that kind of wink. I'm into the NHL. I'm a part of it, but I'm also just like a dude that likes a nice T-shirt or likes, you know, the maybe, I hate to say this, but you know, there's always been sort of a punk edge to Violent Gentlemen. You know that I always explain it to people when I try to tell people what the brand is. I'm like, imagine if punk rockers were making a sports line, because that's what it feels like. And so I just think that was always out of the gate too. You know the synergy of, well, if hockey fans like it, but then they see on Instagram one of their favorite players or one of their favorite teams wearing it, it just starts to create this real nice circle of everything's kind of flowing the way you want it to.
Yeah.
But the thing that always amazes me is that when a lot of people go to start a brand, they set out going, well, we're going to make an organic blah, 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 blah. It has to be as big as this brand or that brand. And I don't think you could ever force that part of the VG magic.
I think I think so many people a lot of people start businesses because they want to make money. And our goal, our thought process was always the money is a byproduct of doing what we want to do. And we knew if we made a cool thing, people would buy it and we'd make money.
And you made the cool thing that you wanted.
Exactly. And that's because we both had jobs. When we started it, it was like we both had jobs. We both had money coming in, and we're like, "Hey, this is just going to be fun. Let's just have fun with it."
Right.
And that was the whole thing. And that was probably the best thing that we had going for us, is that we didn't start like, "Fuck, I have a mortgage." I mean, we both have mortgages now, so now it's like, better buy those T-shirts. But
we've talked a lot about mortgage Mike versus Mike Hammer.
Yeah. So, but when we started, it was just like, let's have fun and let's do something that we want to do. Not care what what people think we should do. Let's just wear stuff that we want to wear.
So 5 years later, right? The brand
7
years later.
7 years from 7 years ago this week was us having our first meeting and Brian saying Violent Gentlemen.
Okay. So
which I wanted to say, I loved your post about it. You posted on Instagram about it being born.
Yeah.
But I was kind of thinking it wasn't really born until February when we sold the first shirt. It was inseminated. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
I mean, you would know.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Yeah. On that night, that dinner, that was when we left it in.
Yeah.
And
goalie got pulled that night.
Yeah. And then it was
born.
born.
It was born in February.
Yeah, in February.
For sure.
2012.
Which we looked back at one point at our first customer, and I feel like I want to mention him because he does a lot of work for us.
Yeah, I love him.
We at one point were like, I wonder, like, you know, like a year in or 2 years in, we're like, who was the first VG customer? So we went on our then Big Cartel site, and I fucking just scrolled because it's shitty and you can't, like, there's a reason we switched to Shopify. We scroll all the way back, and our first sale was to our now product photographer, Josh Holstein, who still does all of our product photography. He's unreal, does some lifestyle photography, and is still very much involved in doing work for us. Customer number one.
That's amazing.
It's fantastic.
So with the 7-year run,
yep,
and the idea was we want to make we want it to be fun. We want to make items that we actually want to have as people, and we want it to be fun. Now, I don't even have to ask the question. I know that you guys still like the product line. Like, I'm around it. I see you like, I see the look of joy when the boxes show up or things get taken out. So I know that part is still going.
Except for today.
Yeah, we had a bumpy start today.
Well, that's great you said that. I approved an item without showing it to Brian, and it showed up today as a surprise, and got Brian fired up.
Brian was a little fired up.
It isn't always an item we love collectively.
I backed the item. I'm not saying. I think the process of what the kick in the dick was. I've been talking to this gentleman on Instagram.
Okay.
And he's been messaging us since June, asking about these goddamn things. And I keep telling him, yeah, we're working on it. And I just told him like 2 days ago, not going to happen for holidays.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
He's got to get a free one now.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I said, give me your address. I'm sending you one now. Okay. And then I sent him a picture. Look what showed up. I guess I wasn't told, you know?
Well, I understood your frustration today.
Yeah.
Was just based on principle.
Yeah.
Like, the product's good. They did a good job. They made something that you like. You were just a little bit bummed out. You're like, how did I not know that this was in the works?
Exactly. Considering the last meeting, all the ones we looked at were garbage.
Right.
So at some point we found a good one, which was rad, which you would think just a message would have came across, said, hey, we found this one. And, you know, I just on certain things, most things like that, I want to be left in the loop. I don't need to know everything what goes on, but when it comes with products, I kind of want to know what's going on.
There was this amazing scene on the Netflix show Friends from College where Fred Savage is in the show, and he gave his buddy who's from P and Kill, the not Jordan Peele, but the other one, Key. I don't know his first name though. I hope you did. So he's writing a book. Okay. And Fred Savage is giving him all of these ideas, like, oh, it should be like a vampire hunter or whatever like that. And so when he goes to take his book to publish, they're like, this is another idea. And that's when Fred Savage's character, he then thinks about, like, where was I in all those meetings when they were talking about it? And they showed him fucking around on his phone, making a cup of coffee. Like, he was in the room when this thing was happening time and time again. And I was just imagining you guys showing the license plate samples. Brian's over here off playing his video game with the headset on.
Damn.
And it's all just going on right behind him while he's over there Fortniting it, right? That's your thing?
Shots fired.
Fortnite only happens from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Never during the day.
You mean 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.?
I mean, it happens when we're twitching and we're trying to establish a new fan base.
Absolutely. It's part of the brand.
That's true.
So my question, though, is that 7 years later, now a staff of, I'm going to throw a number at the wall, like 9, 10 people?
Yeah. Right now
with holiday staffing.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it still fun? Like,
yeah.
It's still fun coming to work every day, and it's still fun running the brand. Like, the growth, the size, all the babysitting.
There are now things that aren't fun about it, for sure.
Okay.
Dealing with people is not fun.
That's always been my problem in the world of business is as you scale, you need more humans. More humans always equals more drama, more complications, and a lot more of probably you two guys talking about, what are we going to do about this situation?
For sure. And that's the thing is everything that me and Brian do and what we do together is exactly how it was 7 years ago.
We are 95% on each other's page, like as high as you can get,
like
to being on the same page.
Dad will write a question of some sort, or not even a question.
Let me fill the audience in. Dad is Mike Hadis.
Yeah,
Mike Hadis' position at the company is
operations,
COO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, don't not C. He's not C-suite yet. He's not C-suite.
He's not C-suite.
He's operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just want to give everybody at home an indication. Like, if you're 2 years older than these guys, you get referred to as Dad.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually older than him. But,
yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. See, but you'd never guess that.
No.
But he seems like he's 40. Or like 45, and he has like a 20-year-old. He has like a 20-year-old daughter, so it's like he just seems old.
Yeah.
He's an old soul.
He's an old soul. He's perfect. He'll say like a statement, and Brian and I will like at the same time reply a very similar either jab or response, like always on a very similar plane. So I think that's part of what helps is that up here hasn't changed. Everything else could go away, and this would still operate the same, which is great.
The friendship.
Yeah.
And the partnership.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's like we're here just to make something cool and do something fun. And it's always going to be fun. It's always going to be rad, and there's going to be business bullshit that gets in the way.
Yeah, how do you not let the human resources aspect of it just beat the shit out of you? Because what I found with scaling a small business is you'll have an employee, maybe they're here now, maybe they've come and gone, but when you start to have that employee where all of a sudden it seems like all of your free time is discussing what the fuck they just pulled off that week.
For sure.
And you're like, and then you just start, like, Beth and I would look at him like, yo, we've now spent our entire evening talking about this person. We haven't
instead of thinking about the new shit.
Yeah, instead of scaling or growing or what are we working on next.
Sure.
So
and
how do you not let the people aspect of it ruin it for you?
That's pretty much getting put on Dad's plate.
Delegate to Dad.
Yeah, you want to be operations?
Well, we've kind of made now we've made a very loose org chart of the company. And it's like Hammer and I are at the top, and
Nice.
and then there's like a V that goes to Dad, and then everybody else. And it's like we kind of filter everything through Dad now, and it's not so that we can go downstairs and play ping pong with the dudes and be like, hey, what's up, high five, like everything's good, but we're not kind of dealing with the bullshit.
Yeah,
because Hammer is non-confrontational.
Yep.
I'm a hothead.
I've seen both of those things happen today.
So
right
it's
in
like,
front of me.
So it's like how it will happen. You know what I mean? Like if you're dealing with us, you're not gonna like the how it's gonna go because we're probably just gonna tell you to go home.
Right.
Go home. Like that's what Hammer what's coming. Just go home. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll just do it myself.
Yeah. Bounce them.
Yeah, or I'm gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? And like just raising my voice because I talk loud anyways, and like being upset and trying hard not to drop any obscenities.
I'm right there with you. I'm an emotional roller coaster.
Yes.
And if I'm fucking fired up, I'm fired up. And it's like sometimes my volume and my intensity, it's bigger than how I actually feel, but I'm just riding that emotional roller coaster. And it's like I've had employees or interns thought that I was literally going to like choke them or like lay a hand on them. And I'm like, well, I'm just throttled up, man. Like I'm not actually going to do that.
In all fairness, without going into any detail, how many fights total have you gotten into at the dog park? In the last 5 years? The total time. Total time at dog parks. Altercations. Doesn't have to be
altercation.
Physical. Doesn't have to be physical.
Per person or per dog?
Total.
Over 5 years, I've had like 4 this year. I'm going to go about 25 to 40.
Dog park altercation.
Yeah. It gets pretty wild.
To a point where Beth has said, man, maybe you don't go to the dog park.
Yeah, I've kind of been put on the bench. Last time I went there, I almost stole somebody's dog because I knew it was in better hands in my home than theirs.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I get a little wild.
To circle back to answer your question, we've now shielded us from some of the bullshit that in the day to day, just so we don't get. It's in the benefit of both of us and them down there.
Oh, I know this scam. Sitting up here in the office, we're sitting in the tour bus.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know how this scam works.
Yeah.
It's all coming clear to me now.
Yep.
Hey, friends, today's episode is all about California and living the dream. And now the dream can be shipped right to your front door. Dream that dream, baby girl, in a 12-ounce can of delicious organic cold brew coffee infused with organic peppermint tea and cacao. Don't have a cacao, man? Well, we do in our cold brew. ThunderKingBrewing.com. AIDCOT to save on having California Christmas, our Christmas cold brew delivered right to your front door. 7 years in, when it started out, Brian, your job was you were just pumping out every logo, every design, every product. You now have an art department, correct?
We have ish. I mean, I have an assistant who helps me with tech packs and some design stuff. We have a small freelance force that we put some stuff out.
Shout out to the Juggalos.
It's funny is I did it all, and then I kind of went down and was doing less because I had some help from a
For
designer.
a while, you had a lot of help, right?
And he's now gone and started his own thing, and it's great. I'm happy for him. But now I'm doing back again, and luckily there was no hiccup in him kind of taking over more of it, and then him leaving. I don't think anyone saw like, oh shit, it's different, or it's changed. I think it's all kind of stayed pretty much the same because I think we've evolved. We're constantly evolving as a brand and doing new things and getting more sophisticated on some designs, but still staying true to what we started with.
How different was it for you when you migrated from being the only designer to that year and a half, 2 years where you were pretty much art direction? Like, was it hard for you to make all the mock-ups and suggestions? Was there ever a part of you was like, it'd just be faster for me to jump in the file and do it myself? Like, how were you with delegating ideas in the world of art?
I think, I think I was good sometimes and bad sometimes. I mean, there's times where I would design I'd do like 80% of the design of like 5 designs and say, hey, just finish these, meaning mock them up, maybe tweak them a little bit. Maybe not everything's fucking centered, because I did them fast, and then just kind of fine tune them, and then they're done. And there's other times where here's a loose sketch that I did on my iPad or on a plane. Here, make this, and same with Hammer too, because Hammer does the same thing. He'll be like, hey, we need this. Here's a loose sketch, or here's an idea. So
very loose. Very loose.
So I think it was, the full gamut of very little direction for just an idea, and sometimes he nailed it and sometimes he didn't, and to where it's like there was times where I did most of the designing and he just kind of tweaked it, and then we kind of lived in that medium most of the time where it's like, hey, we would look at some analytics or look at like, hey, fuck, we really want this type of design. Like, we did this photo tee, we loved it. Why don't we have more photo tees? Let's do a couple more photo tees.
Right.
And then I didn't really do much with that. I just said, hey, let's look at some photos, and then he fucking did it.
So when you were working with another creative, and I'm guilty of this, you're probably guilty of this when you worked elsewhere, you give somebody an idea and you say, I want this tarantula on the shirt, right? Something I know that you've never did, so nobody gets their feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Here's this tarantula I want on a shirt. And then it comes back to you and it's a completely different idea. And every creative is like, oh, I see what they're going for, but I think that I can make it better. How did you deal with when you literally just want something like flushed out and what you got back was like a whole reinterpretation of your idea?
I would say do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Because that happened. That kind of stuff happens.
Of course it does. It always does.
I think that's the progression, though, is you want, like, we talk about how, like, if someone comes into like a junior designer job and they just fucking plant their flag and they're like, I'll do this for 40 years, then that person sucks. Like,
yeah.
So you're going to get a little resistance. You want pushback. And then when the pushback gets to a certain point, it's like, okay, great. You need to go. You've progressed. You need to go off and do your own thing, because that's the only way you're going to be happy. Right. So it's like, I feel like that is the back and forth that just ends up happening.
Yeah. And for the most part, like he would just do, the symmetry was there. Like, he fucking did it. And it's like, hey, we get the idea. And it turned out there was a couple times where he did some things that, I mean, there's a perfect example. I fucking drew a tiger. I don't draw that much anymore. I'm not a very good illustrator, but I wanted to do this tiger design. I did the whole design. The only thing is, like, the tiger was a little bit loose. Some of the bottom was, I left it open. It needed to be cleaned up for screen printing and then, so I gave him the file. I was like, here's the design. I just need the tiger cleaned up. He redrew the fucking tiger. And I looked at it and he goes, and his was like more aggressive. Yeah. And a little more tattooy. And he says mine was more cartoony. He's like, oh, yours is kind of cartoony. It's a little more aggressive. And I go, I fucking like that tiger. Like, I drew it. Yeah. And what I did it off of, I based it off like some fucking 80s tattoo shit. Yeah. So it's just like, that's kind of what I wanted to do.
You were setting a tone. There was a vibe you
and I
wanted
was
to
just
go
like,
after.
fuck. And we never used this tiger, and the shirt sold great. And I went and just cleaned it up myself and just said, here, this needs to be tech packed. And I wasn't mad, but it was just like, you wasted your time. Like, that's his time that he wasted. And technically he wasted my time because I probably paid him to do it. But I think all that is part of it. And it's like, and sometimes, it's just, that's just fucking part of it.
Maybe I've been too loose when I've had people work for me because, I bring everybody in and I'm like, collaborate. And then I find myself down the road. It's like, now I'm arguing with my employees just to get done anything. Like, every idea I pitch is like, but what about this? And then I would go, but what about you just do what I asked you to do? Yeah. Because we're on a crunch and we don't have unlimited budget. And your idea is great, but my idea fits in the window of affordability and time that we have. I too was like you. I had somebody helping me out, working with things, and then it kind of scaled back to just being me. I found that after going through having a large assistant role and then bringing it back on myself, I found that I was more efficient from after thinking about how everything could be broken down and handed to somebody else. This last year of just doing it all by myself again, I felt like I found a new stride of efficiency of being a one-man show. Now that you don't have like a full-time designer and you're doing a lot more of the art, do you feel like you're better from taking that journey and you're more efficient? Like, did you enjoy this year? Like, if money was an option, would you like to have another designer? Like, how are you feeling about the art role right now?
I think we're in a weird transition period, anyways, as a company. So I haven't fully looked at it. I like designing shit. I wish I could design more. And
like, how many design hours do you think you get in a work week?
No idea. It just depends. Like, I probably only design. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just depends if we have stuff going on. Because there's times we have a list of like, this is the shit Brian has to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like there's some weeks it's big and I just bust it all out. And then the next week, like this week, I'm not designing that much stuff.
What do you guys do on the dad and hammer end of things? It'd be like, okay, we need to put a firewall around Brian this week because he's the creative. It all kind of starts with Brian. Like, are there things that you guys do to just sort of make sure that he's not getting interrupted? Like, come down here and open this box and tell us if this gold's right. You know what I mean? Like, how do you keep him away from the bullshit?
Well, there was this king that got hired to do.
I think we told that story on this before.
I think we told it last year. Brian has this tale that he tells about a king who hires the greatest script writer to do the script. He's not bumping out the script. He's not bumping out the script, whatever. He fucking finally shows up at the guy's house like a year later or whatever. And he's got fucking practice scripts all over his fucking house. And he goes, oh, you wanted to say live, laugh, love. Hold on. Bangs it out real quick and is like, there you go. It was like, you know, it's the culmination of my life's work is why I can do this so easily. So like Brian's list, the list sucks and there's a million things on it, but I know like design time isn't just the time you're fucking running the mouse.
No.
It's when you're driving home and you're going, okay, we have to do a shirt for the fire department. Okay, what's that look like? And you know, you're kind of loosely thinking about it. It's when you're in the shower and you're fucking, it's when nothing else is going on that you can like let shit flow. I mean, that's design time too.
Yeah.
You know
My
what
actual,
I mean? So, like,
I mean, I'm always thinking about design. My actual computer time is, I don't sit at a computer until I'm ready to fucking bang some shit out. So I just keep it all in my head. I look at my list of shit I need to do and I keep it in my head and I say, and most of the time when I sit down, I am very efficient for that time. And 90% of the shit I create in that time, we approve and move forward.
Yep.
That's being a pro's pro, though, because you know you don't have the time to dabble and mess around.
Yeah.
So if you can be dad and design it in the back of your brain, or commuting home and designing the back of your brain, like I'm the same boat. It's like once I hit the computer, there's already a blueprint in my mind, and it's just assembly, not like,
for sure.
I wonder what this would look like.
Yeah.
Like those days are long
I mean,
gone.
granted, I do that once in a while, but that's
Sure.
like the me fucking around and doodling some thumbnails and kind of looking at some books. Granted, I want to start implementing. I told Gussie J this too, and Luke that I want to start doing like a design night, like once a month, where we just hang out and just fucking be creative and kind of fill the bucket. If you
That's
will.
awesome.
You know, and you're
work
more than
on
you're invited.
Oh, thank you. I'll be there.
You know, you can talk over everyone. That's you be like, you guys design. I'm going to work on my craft. I'll go around and ask everyone what they're working on.
For me, it's literally insane about how putting myself on the bench of design, but like looking at everything from a distance. It's like when I do sit down, I am so much more efficient with my design and the way that I see things. Like I instead of practicing all the time, I'm studying all the time. And man, oh man, does that make a difference when a friend sends me or something's like, can you help me figure out where this is at? I'm like, yes, boom, 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 boom. Like the assembly of design has gotten so much better for me.
That makes sense.
I know one of the things that you guys have been able to do this year, which I'm excited for you, and this has got to be a nice additional revenue stream, is Violent Gentleman is now in arena.
Yes, we're back in the NHL. We had a brief hiatus where we were asked not to come back.
I'm going to let you tell that story if you want.
We weren't banned, but we were asked to not come back.
Yeah.
And then I don't really know technically how, but we were, I don't know if people recognized our place and, you know, what we do, whatever. But we started doing a lot more work, or we started doing work for the team in Vegas. And it started kind of snowballing and going really well. And then as that continued on, we got brought back into Anaheim, and then we'll be also in Chicago this year, as well as I'm terrible at this. Oh, well, the precursor to all of that actually was we're in the AHL, which is the minor league to the NHL. It's the direct farm system, and most teams have gotten smart enough where they brand, like, if to the outsider, if you kind of squinted your eyes, they should look like the same team.
Right.
The minor team should look like the big club.
Trust me, I used to go see the Louisville Redbirds play, which if you squinted your eyes, it looked like the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah,
it was
100%.
It's a one-on-one reproduction.
Sports IP is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
People steal all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
So we used our off time in the NHL cultivating the AHL business because the AHL hadn't asked us to leave.
Yeah.
They really liked us. So now we're in a ton of AHL teams and ECHL, or excuse me, EIHL. Is that the British League?
Yes.
So we work with a couple teams in England.
Oh, wow.
Who are just killing it. Like, it's crazy. Their games are tiny and they crush. The Glasgow Clan and the Nottingham Panthers rep VG hard.
You know I love football, and I don't hardly ever wear any football gear because most of it is atrocious.
It's trash.
It's trash. And so, when I saw what you guys were doing for the sport of hockey, I'm like, well, this is genius because there's a lot of intelligent people or cool people, hip people, however you want to, describe them, that are into sports, but they don't want to wear a jersey, or they don't want to wear like a bad polo shirt, or the problem is, and I think you nailed this earlier, Brian. When I look at arena wear that's done on a team level, it looks like, what are people into? Let's make something for people. Like, what's cool right now, or what's big right now. But when you guys do something, it's more like, what are we into? And I think that pivot of having an actual brand and establishing like, an internal style guide is so much different than just like what'll catch the most fish. So when you guys did the pieces that you did for the Anaheim Ducks, I thought, man, some of those shirts, like that gray shirt that I took home, it's one of the best designed sports t-shirts I've ever seen in my life.
That's pretty tight.
I mean, I absolutely love it. And, like, I'm a medium Ducks fan, but I wear that shirt all the time because it's just design-wise, it's so sturdy. And I like, that it has a tie-in to sports in a city that I like. So for me, I would think that the arena play for you guys has got to be a nice new revenue stream and a new way to recruit another batch of fans. And probably, sorry, I'm talking a lot, but as I'm filling this out, when people go there, they're like, oh, because there's you guys have a fan base, like I have my listener base, where it's like people are rooting for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm assuming when they go to the Honda Center and they walk by the display and they're like, holy shit, VG's in here now. That feels like a win for them because they feel ownership of the brand.
They're on board. Absolutely. And that's a big, like how we were talking earlier, like it's interesting where you'll see other brands will post, I've used this example before, like other hockey brands will post like, here's a picture of someone wearing our shirt and they met Jamie Benn, like the captain of the Dallas Stars. The VG version of that is, I ran into Jamie Benn at the mall and he was wearing a Violent Gentleman shirt. And that's like always our thing. It's so funny, but that's how it plays out and that's how it works. And it's great. Or it's like, the one day I didn't wear my VG hat, I ran into this player and he was wearing, like, it's always shit like that. And it goes back to, I always think of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or if it's just like a realization, is Andy Warhol talking about Coca-Cola and how he's like, Coca-Cola is my favorite product in the world because no matter how rich or how poor you are, Coca-Cola is Coca-Cola. There's no better version of it. There's no worse version. It's just, it is what it is and we can all enjoy it. And that's where I feel like we are, like, we design rad shit that's high quality and it's $26. Like, it's, go for it.
It's funny you said that about Coca-Cola because one day I had the idea of, an iPhone is a lot different than a car. Everybody has a car that's a status symbol of where they're at or what they're willing to spend, because some people don't want to spend money on a car.
True.
But like me and Diddy have the same phone.
Yeah.
And I thought about the fact that the iPhone is like the great equalizer.
He's got to be an Android user.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I was looking at the iPhone and I go, that's kind of interesting that out on the road, maybe you're a Tesla guy, maybe you're a paid off Honda Element guy. But in the iPhone game, we're all kind of in that exact same zone.
100%.
And I know that Apple is trying to figure out, like, how do we keep throttling it and create that division? Yeah. But what I love about the team aspect is that if you're a fan of a team, most of the stuff sells for the exact same price. It's in a window. Yeah. Until we start putting diamonds on the shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
Full on for.
Yeah, bring it on.
And that bootleg that one of the
we got a diamond guy
with the Bills guy was wearing. There might have been a diamond on that jacket.
There's probably a diamond on that jacket.
I think another thing to point on that, the fact that we're kind of, for the player can wear it, the fan can wear it, but also if you're walking through an airport and you see someone sitting there and he's wearing a Violent Gentleman shirt, you give him a nod, and he sees that you're wearing a Violent Gentleman shirt, you get a nod. You may even fucking start a conversation. And
I have that story,
and so it's like every time we get that's the biggest story that we get is I was somewhere and I saw someone wearing it and I said, "What's up?" He's a fucking Panthers fan, but we're still buds because we're Violent Gentlemen.
Yeah,
Danny Donuts.
Yep.
I'm waiting to get on a plane. I think in Colorado or Chicago. Punk rock guy's in front of me. He has patches and shit all over his jacket and his bag. And I saw the VG. He was wearing like a VG hat and I had a VG pin. And I go, "Oh, Violent Gentleman. Those are my buds." And and he's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "I know Hammer and Brian." I'm like, "Well, I do too." We started talking. He's flying back to Long Beach. I'm flying back to Long Beach. Like, we've now been out to dinner. We've been to Winter Classic.
We shared an Uber.
I mean, we've been to the Winter Classic at your house. We've done barbecues together, but we 100% met at the gate because I saw the VG thing. And it's like back in the day. I see you have a Pal Peralta sweatshirt on. You're a skateboarder. Yeah. Like, you guys literally brought it back to that. But before we get away from it, now that you're in arena, how does that change, like, the fans' perspective of you, like, or the team perspective? Like, do you feel like that's growing it more and people are like legitimizing the brand more?
Yeah, it does a little bit of both, because it's some people are super psyched and they're like, "Rad, I'm there. I'm buying every single item that exists. Let's rock." And then there's some people who are like, "Fuck, man, a t-shirt's $35 now."
Yeah, the price is the kick in the dick for our fans.
Yeah, but we try to
got to pay that arena rent.
Well, that's the thing, is we try to explain, like, well, how much do you pay for a beer there versus what you can get at a liquor store? Our markup is actually way better than that of the food and beverage. So, like, just eat it. Sorry, like, we can't do anything about it.
You should. The person that goes to Disneyland and complains that water's $4, but they can go to Sam's Club and get a case pack of it for a unit price of 60 cents.
Yeah,
come on,
carry
man.
a case in. But.
Come on, man.
That's the real hustler. The guy walking around Disney with a case on his shoulder. $2.
That's a guy that I would definitely sit down and have an interview with and be like, "So where do you spend money? Like, where do you decide to spend your money?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think the arena. I'm excited about the arena thing. I really am, and I've been excited to see the work that you've been able to do for the teams.
It's tough because we've always been us, where it's like, it's just us. We don't care what anyone thinks. We made it. We think it's cool. Great. And then once you bring in a whole other section who's bringing they're bringing their IP in, so they want it to look a certain way, and they've usually got actual brand guides, not like, "I think it looks cool." So we have to play by their rules a little bit. And so then getting told, like, "Nah, not this, but like this," we're like, "Oh boy." All right.
Oh yeah, that with the arena stuff, that's happened already.
The art direction?
Like, where we design shit and we're like, "This is fucking cool." And they're like, let's change this. And we're like, "Well, fuck you. You don't know."
Yeah.
you don't know. You think you know, but you don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the...
But it's the same with buyers, though.
Right.
With wholesale. It's the same. Buyers like, "Oh, I want this. Just change this." And it's like, you think you know, but you don't know our people. And that's, if you're trying to get our people,
that's the difference, I think, is they're coming at it from, like,
catch most fish.
Well, this is what sells already, and we're coming at it from this niche market, a niche of a niche market.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a balancing act.
We did do a thing we're launching in December. A collab with New Era and the Buffalo Sabres.
And I've heard of both of those brands.
And we were very,
like,
when we were done, we're like, "Hey, we designed it." And we were like, and Hammer and I, we kind of reviewed it, say, "This looks fucking solid. We like this." And then I don't know if you were thinking about this, Hammer, but I was thinking, how are they going to fucking butcher this?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to send this over.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
I'm going to send this over and then be like, hey, this is done. We love all this stuff. Like, let's fucking turn it on. And then we're just waiting for like, well, let's change this, and this, you know, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, looks good to us. And we're like, what the fuck?
That's the thing is we either get back 20 revisions or we get back like a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah. I literally remember telling Beth, I was like, this work I'm doing for Disneyland, I think this is an elaborate prank because I keep sending over like comps and illustrations and they're just like, yep. I'm like, when is it going to be this heavy-handed? Like the castle's off. There's 3 windows on this level. You know, like Mickey actually stands this tall next to Walt. Like I kept waiting for all that, and then when I like turned in the final, I was like, oh God, please don't rip it apart. Like I put so much work in this. So like, yep, go ahead and send it to press.
Yeah.
And I like you with New Era. That's a level of corporate. Then you have the Sabres, which is a whole other corporate level, and you just keep waiting. Like, when do we get punched in the dick?
Yeah.
And when it never happens, you're like, holy shit, how did that go so easy? And it's like you're owed one of those for every one where it's like, you know, that file you sent out, final .jpg. You know that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're owed one every now and again.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we'll see. We'll see if it all works out because they didn't order that much, and we're like, "This is all you're ordering?
Yeah.
Like, this is hopefully be sold out like that night, the
Game
first
one,
game
yeah.
one." So, Buffalo fans, if you hear this, I don't know when it comes out. When does this come out?
Before the game.
Okay, so Buffalo fans,
December 13th.
December 13th, go to the game, buy all of our shit. They didn't make that much, and they decide not to reorder it. That shit's gonna be limited.
Limited dish.
Yeah, very limited.
That gets into a great topic though of when you go into retail or you go to work for a new team or you're working for New Era, a new brand. It's like all these big corporations have their own way that they test and trial and figure things out. And sometimes it's super insulting. Like the deal that I got offered from Bed Bath & Beyond, like I ran the numbers. Man. If I would have went over to China and put up like a lot of money to get things produced and then wait for them to pay me net 120, I'm like and they wanted to pay me such a small price for my product that I ran the numbers. I'm like, if their payment was like a week late, I just lost all of my profit on credit card fees or a loan fee. You know what I mean? Like it was that tight of a margin. So it's like, you know, you get the email and we've all learned not to get excited because there's just such a long process and everybody's different. And I know that you guys have kind of come up with the mindset that you're not super worried about retail and getting into stores.
No, we were just talking about like, I think everyone waits for the big thing. This is going to be huge. You know, you would think if you asked someone, you know, a casual person, oh, they're doing a collab with the Sabres and New Era. You'd be like, oh, well, that's going to be gigantic. And be like, oh, what if I
move over, Biggie? You're getting a new neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. But in reality, it's like, oh, we'll probably sell more money in keychains this year than fucking this whole thing.
Yeah, we're not
like,
doing
whatever.
it to make money. We're doing it because we want to work the Sabres because we love Buffalo.
Right.
And
Shout out Cousin Dave.
And I've always liked New Era. I think they're a dope company. So the fact that we got to have a phone call with them and do this cool thing,
it's just cool.
We don't need to make money on it. Hey, fuck. If 2019 we end up doing a huge thing with them and making money, cool. But if we don't, I can at least say, hey, I did a New Era collab.
100%.
And it's not about. I think that was what I was getting to is that people wait for the big thing. What's the thing that's going to work? Whatever. But it's not. It's the culmination of a fuckload of little things.
Right.
That it's like. We're not making a ton of money. We'll actually somehow probably end up losing money because we're showing there, and you know, Cousin Dave, the product isn't cheap, and you know, we'll go hard in Buffalo and eat and do all this shit. So we'll probably end up losing money, but we'll have that feather in our hat of like, oh, New Era collab.
But don't you think a lot of people that start brands with a different ideology that you guys did? Not only do they want that email to come through because they're thinking like, oh, New Era, like back up the Brinks truck, we're going to be making some money, but they want validation. And you guys don't ever seem like you look for validation through Zoomies or the Nights or this or the other. Like I've always felt, and I'm being honest as I can, I feel like the only validation you need are the people that show up here at the store or that say, hey, or tag you on Instagram. Like,
100%.
That validation seems it means more to you guys because when the brands come in, you're like, this is kind of crazy, but I know how you guys feel about the customer. And it seems like that's the validation that you chase.
Yeah. The customer are friends and peers that, you know, are designers at places and are like, this is fucking rad. And there's a difference between the this is rad and the I run into a bud at the mall and they're wearing a shirt and they're like, oh yeah, I wear a shirt all the time. I love it.
And then we heard this year, I won't say which band, but a band that we work with said a merch item we did for them was one of their all-time favorite merch items.
That's great.
And they've been a band for a long time.
That's awesome.
So it's like, fuck, like that's so cool. The fact that all you do is sell merch all the time and something that we were a part of, it was one of your favorites. So that, that's high on the validation scale.
Hey friends, thank you so much for listening to today's interview with Brian Talbert and Michael Hammer of The Violent Gentleman. Don't forget, you can always support the boys and their awesome brand over at VGHC.com. Can't say enough good things about their products, their company, the way they run it. Always a pleasure to have them on the show. And, if you don't know this, every Friday, me, Hammer, our bud Gus, maybe Biggie, maybe Brian, we wrap up the week with a podcast called Hammer Time, where we just kind of hang out and have good times and sort of capture a little bit of the wild lifestyle that we live. But always enjoy having Hammer and Brian on to talk to them as violent gentlemen. I love the idea that their friendship is their bond, and that comes above and beyond any business decision, any way that they run their business. And always nice to have the guys on just to sort of get, a different perspective. Like we hear so many different interviews, so many different people that have a different vision on, work harder, work faster, just crush everybody else to get where you want. And I love that for these guys, it's like, no, money, success, it's just a byproduct to having fun. To hear the second part of today's episode, to hear the guys look back on 2018, what went right, where they can improve, and then look at 2019 to see where they want to send the company, what they want to try to achieve. Become a member of the Circle of Trust over at AID.network, where you can hear the second part of today's episode, as well as our archive of over 870 interviews just like today, where I sit across from people that have figured out a way to turn their daydream into a day job. If you sign up, you also unlock all the Hammer Time episodes. This Fridays will be Hammer Time 56. So there's a lot of good times with the VG crew behind the paid wall of the Circle of Trust. Sign up today at AID.network, become a member of the Circle of Trust, and support Adventures in Design. What do you say we get in part 2 and look back on 2018 as we also look forward to 2019 from Violent Gentlemen? Don't forget to support the boys over at VGHC.com. Let's get into part 2, available for members of the Circle of Trust at AID.network. With the traction that VG has and the momentum that the company has picked up organically, and we're in arena, you're working with brands, you've had a couple store deals, you've done this, you've done that, you're working with the bands. Are you guys at the moment where sort of the money guys are sniffing around and people are like, hey, I'd love to have a lunch with you guys and talk about what you're doing? Like, are you feeling like you're at that level where people are trying to like size you up and see if there's an opportunity for them?
No, I'm not really like that type of vibe at all. I think people think we're way bigger than we are.
Yeah.
Like people think we're like this gigantic company. We didn't get tagged in a lot of Small Business Saturday posts. And I was like, at the time, I was like, do I have to Google this? Like, are we not considered small business? And I was like, less than 15 employees. That's absolutely us. Fuck out of here.
I think in 2014, like after our 2013 was our first, we started in 2012, 2013, we started climbing, and then 2014 was like, I think our like a good growth year, and we're like, fuck yeah. We got hit, like everyone that we knew that has money said, hey, if you need investment, let us know. And we're like, nah, we're cool. Like, fuck, do we look like we need money? But then I think once we kind of said, no, we don't need any money. Now people just think like, oh, they don't, the people kind of we know that have money, and they're probably not talking. We're not coming up in conversations because I think we denied that early, and now we're just like doing our thing. Everyone's just thinking, oh, VG's going to do their thing. So we're going to have to, if we ever want to sell it or get acquired, I think we're going to have to go out and shop it and like, hey, this is what we're doing. And I don't see that happening.
Let me introduce you to the next level of your career. Can I get some money?
Yeah.
Because that's the next level, right?
Yeah,
like people are either trying to give you some, people will leave you alone, and then the next level of your career is people try to hit you up to carry the weight of their item or their product.
Yeah.
As you guys have gone along, you've seen success. Have you seen a lot of similar ideas come and go? Like similar hockey fan brands.
Yeah. We get the Jimmy North was one of our buddies that was here this week. He used
James.
James used a great term because I showed him like some design or something that someone did, and he goes, "There's always a Johnny come lately." He goes, "Johnny always came lately."
Yeah,
because he saw like what you were doing, whatever. And yeah, it happens all the time, but it's really no worry because it's like, I don't know, we're such a niche that it's like it would be very difficult.
I don't think you guys could ever truly be ripped off because the business like mine is personality based. Mm-hmm. You know, and like people can kind of, you know, I know people have registered violentgentleman.com. I mean, you know, people can.
Those motherfuckers. We haven't talked to them in a while. No. We should hit them up and see if they still own it.
Yeah.
I know that people like will take a swipe at the IP, but as far as like the core of the brand, and I think what resonates to guys and gals on the road with bands and people that are into the sport and people like me that are more into the club aspect of the name, like it's the personality based business that always can go the distance.
And we've been ripped off. I mean, we see people. I mean, we did Make Hockey Violent. We trademarked it, and obviously that was a hot button style with the election and all that stuff. And
there was an election.
A ton of people ripped us off on that. We did Make Football Violent, which we never sold, but we did, and we trademarked it. And we did it for some football guy we know, and that got ripped off. So it's like we get ripped off, and that's okay. And it's just like there's none of it. I think the only shit that we go after is Amazon, right? People who sell out on Amazon.
Yeah, and even that is really it's really
too expensive
hard
to really go. And we don't think it's going. It's not cutting into our sales really enough to really care.
Amazon is flooded with so many pirates. Like my buds over at DKNG Studios, you can literally get any of their design. I shouldn't be saying this, but you can get any of their designs on any item that you want, and they're not making a nickel. Like, you need a giant. If you need Dan to design you a giant shower curtain, trust me, it's on there.
It's done.
Click around. Dan's not going to see any money, but it's on there.
Yeah.
So this fall, you guys did something I really enjoyed. And I always love watching the strategy behind the brand and knowing you guys. But you started doing what I think is really, really fun. And I hope this lasts for a long time.
Okay.
I love the new releases on Friday.
Ooh. New release Friday was a hard ramp up into Black Friday, pretty much. That was the goal.
That's you guys stocking the shelves.
Yeah. Getting stocked up, having some new shit. I think where we went wrong with it, though, is like we get so excited about shit that like we're idiots. So like I can still see there's 3 months over on Brian's board. So like we start by going, let's release a couple things every Friday. One of the weeks I'm looking at right now, it turned into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, essentially like 8 items, which is just
supposed to be like 3.
It's like that's a whole line.
I have a feeling I know who in the corporation maybe had that go down.
We get excited.
But
it's
you
like,
want to rephrase that sentence? You get excited.
I get excited. And then I fucking ramp Brian up. But it's like, we do it. And then it's like, so like the one in particular I'm looking at, it's like, okay, we came out with a new hockey jersey. And the front art of the jersey was so good that it was like, well, why don't we make this look like everything encompassing this team that we've created? So we also put it on a raglan. We made a flag. We made a hat that matched the shoulder patch of the jersey. Like shit that made sense. But then we noticed, like, if you're putting out 8 items every week, you've got 32 items a month coming out. It's insane.
It's too much for your fans.
It's too much because A, people don't have money to buy all of it, obviously, and then B, it gets lost. You can only scroll so much.
So we're starting in January. We're going to come back with some new shit, but it'll be like 1 tee.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
It'll be like 1 or 2 items.
Yeah,
but we just going into the holidays.
Yeah, it was a great way to get stocked up.
It'll be too much.
Yeah, it'll be 1 to 5 tops.
There he goes.
That raglan though was a fucking great idea because that was a hit.
It ended up being one of the surprise heavy hitters for the Black Friday weekend.
But you know what you could do in a softer month is like, okay, we did this jersey, or like what you guys did with Locker Room Supply. All right, we've designed our own beer and root beer. Root beer is fucking sick.
Thank you.
And then you guys decided to take that logo and put it on any kind of idea you could think.
Yep.
What about spreading that out over a month where it's like the jersey comes out today, the raglan came out the next week, the hat comes, you know what I mean? Like, is that is that a business model, or do people get sick of seeing the same thing?
No, I think it's, I don't know. I feel like it, like the jersey thing with the other stuff, I felt like it was like a little capsule where it was like, if you liked this, here it is a couple different ways and different things you could do with it. Where if we spread it out, I don't know if we necessarily get someone to buy again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you either like this or you don't, and we'll see you next week.
Like we probably got people who bought the jersey and the hat same day because they're like, or they bought the jersey and the raglan because they're like, fuck, I love this. I'll wear my jersey and then I can wear this, or vice versa. So, but we don't know if, you know, they bought the jersey or not bought the jersey, or they buy the jersey later, you know, if they're going to still be excited about it. But you never know. I mean, as a company, we constantly evolve and change and do. I mean, we literally don't know what we're doing next week. Well, actually, next week we do know. But
next week we know what we're doing.
It's like the next 2 weeks we have pretty dialed only because it's busy. But when during the year, we're run and gun most of the time. We kind of have a loose plan. Dad loosely plans what we need to do, but a lot of times things happen where it's like we have an idea and then we just make it, and then we have it out in a week.
What was the idea of building the business without doing any internal production? Because I've known clothing companies that have just said, you know, our printing fees are insane. If we get a press, then we can also print for others. Like,
for sure.
And I mean, I know that you guys have like solid relationships, but it is weird that the business is dependent on outside help. What was your idea, and why would you suggest to somebody else looking at this problem solving to do production out of house?
Working in screen print. So like when I worked at Quicksilver, all I dealt with was things that were screen printed, and Brian dealt with screen printing forever too.
I worked for a screen printer.
And I think we both realized that there is nothing like anything that can fucking go wrong in screen printing goes wrong at every step of the way.
Yep.
Every step of the way. The best screen printer in the world goes, fuck, that was the wrong mesh. This color isn't quite, like all of those problems. And that problem does not go wrong when you just pay someone else to do it. And what that create, like, I couldn't even imagine. We have such shit go wrong here. Then we're not dealing with that. If we were dealing with the printing too, it would just be fucking crazy. And like, I just couldn't imagine dealing with it.
Yeah.
Like having it be someone else's problem where it's just one of those places where you just spend the money.
Yeah.
Like what you're going to save, unless you've got fucking 20 clients lined up that are also going to print with you. And you're like, if this runs, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, like we can make some money, whatever. Unless you're doing that, not worth it.
Yeah.
Like no chance, especially not in California. 'Cause you need, the space you need to have an auto and all this shit. Like the rent is just insane to just rent the space for it.
Yeah. The one thing that you've never had to do in the 7 years is rerun a job on your dime.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that they have to do all the time.
Yeah.
We have.
Oh, really?
The time that I'm gonna do the dirt. The time that we approved Vegas design and we fucking misspelled Golden Knights.
Vegas
Golded
Knights.
Can I get one of those?
Yeah.
And we were like, fuck yeah. We're like, it was one of our first jobs too.
Yeah.
We took a picture of it and put it on Instagram, and the buyer saw it and said, hey man, I hope that's not coming to us fucking golden. It's golden spelled wrong. And I mean, it got through our whole process because we were so excited about it that we didn't even check. We just assumed it was spelled right.
I've told this story before. I'll keep it short, but there was an evening where I went down into the basement and helped Joe Garlop rerun a pile of E-Tid hoodies because they said every time die. We were missing one crucial thing in there. So I saw him go to his desk and be like, how can I, like, he literally like scanned the chest print and figured out how to print an eye with what was there.
Yeah.
He's like, I got it. Burned a screen, loaded them all back up. Every time die.
Yeah. It's just, luckily now we have a new guy running production who has caught several minor things, which is great. But yeah, we're not getting the like, hey, we ran 5,000 shirts of these Iron Man things and this PMS color's wrong.
Right.
And
Which happens.
Like, happens a lot.
Right.
And it's just, yeah, we've deducted that we right now want nothing to do with that.
So because you guys are run and gun and you kind of make it up as you go along, which I believe keeps it fun and exciting for the both of you. When you look back at 2018, what do you think the big takeaway for VG is? Like, why is the company better this December than when we had this conversation last December?
Let me just put a pin in that question real fast, just because you're talking about production. We are in the works of getting a direct-to-garment printer.
Oh.
So we will hopefully in the start of 2019 have a sample direct-to-garment printer here that we can run one-offs and or 5 or whatever, and kind of do some special things for so it's like we are going to have the ability hopefully early 2019 to do that, which could be pretty cool.
Internal sample machine.
Yeah, internal
where we can get
sampling.
one and then deduct off that. Oh, it says golded.
Yeah. Take photos or whatever, or send a sample like, hey, this is kind of what it's going to be like.
Right.
Obviously, the quality is going to be different because we're going to screen print. This is direct garment, but sizing is here, the quality of our shirt, yada, yada, yada. So that is something that hopefully for 2019 that it's going to make us be a little more creative, be a little, it's going to open some cool things to production.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
But for looking back,
let's do that question.
Let's take the pin out of that question. Now.
so take the pin out, Brian.
All right.
I'll let you start with it. Like, we had this conversation last December, and it was a great conversation, and I love the way that you guys work together. And I'm curious, like, what do you think the big takeaway of 18 was for you guys?
That's I don't know. Did we answer it really easily last time?
That's a great question.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway for us is, for me anyways, is internally getting your shit together to a point where things are flowing correctly. I think we added some new pieces that were a big help. And then we've also had some internal issues with some maybe older employees and stuff like that where the vibe wasn't right.
Right.
And some of that was on us, some of it was on them, and just the whole thing. So housekeeping is going to be starting in 2019. Housekeeping is going to be a big focus for me.